Lonely CEO's blind date, discover the heartwarming twist that changed her life and his forever. Samantha, a powerful CEO in Oak Park, stood in front of the mirror, brushing her hair with deliberate strokes. She hardly recognized the woman staring back. At 38, she was the epitome of success, but there was a hollowness behind her polished exterior. Loneliness crept in when the applause faded, an ache she couldn't seem to shake off. Despite endless accolades and a lavish lifestyle, the weight of her childhood, her parents' sacrifices pressing down on her, left her yearning for real connection. Then, her well-meaning friend nudged her into a blind date, and this was it. The diner, a quaint establishment bathed in the warm glow of neon lights, buzzed with life. The jukebox played classics that painted a nostalgic backdrop, each note tugging at Samantha's heartstrings. Sitting across from her was David, a mechanic with kind eyes and a sweet smile, a single father who worked tirelessly just to get by. He openly spoke about his 2 children and the gentle spirit of his late father, a Vietnam veteran. Samantha listened, spellbound by David's warmth, feeling something stir within her that she thought long dead, a longing for companionship that transcended the superficiality of her world. As they shared stories, David's sincerity contrasted sharply with the glitter and glamour of her life. He spoke of humility and hard work, his hands stained with grease telling tales of resilience. In that moment, Samantha felt a flicker of hope yet wrestled with doubt. She opened up, revealing the burdens of her past, admitting how her relentless ambition often alienated her from others. It was a truth too raw, but they shared it like a precious gift. Yet, as the conversation flowed, something shifted. David's eyes clouded with uncertainty. "What could a woman like you see in a guy like me?" He wondered aloud, his insecurities poking through. Samantha felt a sharp tug in her chest, she understood his fear all too well. They were standing on the edge of vulnerability when, suddenly, a heated disagreement spiraled out of control over a local business scandal involving someone from her world. Tension thickened the air. Words flew like daggers, each one revealing deeper vulnerabilities, fears of being judged, of not being enough. Just then, the diner erupted with news of a local family facing eviction. Suddenly, their fight felt trivial amidst the clamor for unity. In that moment, they shifted focus. Fueled by empathy, David and Samantha joined hands with patrons from the diner, pooling resources and ideas to support the family. They witnessed firsthand the power of community, resilience, and love, overshadowing their differences and binding them in shared purpose. As the night waned, Samantha felt a heaviness in her heart shift ever so slightly. Amidst the chaos, they confronted their pasts and discovered that they weren't so different after all. They had each faced their demons, pushing through the darkness alone. But tonight, there was a glimmer of a new beginning. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Samantha stepped out of the diner, the chill of the night air brushed against her skin. Her heart raced yet felt lighter, the weight of loneliness still present but now tinged with hope. Could it be possible that through this connection, they could bridge the gap between their 2 worlds? The question lingered, tantalizing and unresolved, echoing in her heart as she walked to her car, anxious to see where this unexpected bond would lead them next. Samantha slid into the driver's seat of her luxury car, the engine purring to life beneath her. The warm glow of the dashboard illuminated her thoughtful expression. As she pulled away from the diner, her mind replayed the night's events. Each word shared with David felt alive, sparking something she hadn't dared to hope for: an understanding, a connection that ran deeper than the surface-level relationships she was used to. But a nagging fear tugged at her heart. Could she truly allow herself to feel? In the fast-paced world of deals, meetings, and corporate conquests, she'd forgotten how to embrace vulnerability. Yet, his smile lingered with her, a beacon of what could be. The week went by in a blur. Samantha buried herself in work, yet David's presence seemed to seep into every corner of her mind. He was unlike anyone she'd ever known. After days of hesitation, she finally picked up her phone. The text was simple, just a question about how he and the kids were doing. "Just trying to survive," he replied almost instantly, his humor shining through. A chat turned into calls, and the chemistry crackled over the phone lines like electricity. One Friday evening, she found herself driving back to the diner, her heart racing. She couldn't remember the last time she was excited to see someone, and that made her anxious. David was already inside, his laughter echoing against the walls, surrounded by a group of friends. She felt a warmth bloom in her chest as he locked eyes with her. It was as if the chaotic world faded away, leaving just the two of them. "Hey! You made it!" he exclaimed, his face lighting up. The warmth in his gaze sent a shiver of joy down her spine. She joined the group and settled in, enjoying the simple camaraderie. They laughed, shared stories, and for the first time, she felt like she belonged somewhere outside her glossy boardroom. As the night wore on, Samantha felt an unexpected sense of peace wrap around her like a warm blanket. But David's cheerful demeanor didn't hide the occasional glimpse of sadness in his eyes. A subtle shift when conversation turned to his kids and their struggles. Wanting to connect on a deeper level, she gently probed, "How are they doing with the loss?" His smile faltered. "They miss their mom every day. I try to fill the gaps," but his voice trailed off, vulnerability naked in their shared space. Samantha's heart stirred. This was the real David, stripped of pride and revealing the rawness of parenthood. She reached out and touched his arm. "You're doing an incredible job, David. You're all they've got, and they need you more than ever." He looked at her, eyes wide with an emotion she couldn't quite place, gratitude, perhaps mixed with an understanding of how their lives had intertwined in unexpected ways. She found the courage to share that she understood loss too, recalling her own past, the efforts of her parents, deep-rooted fears of failure, and promise to make it all worthwhile. It was a moment suspended in time, warmth radiating between them, and Samantha felt invincible. But as the night began to wane, doubt crept back in like the lingering shadows of the diner walls. Did she have what it took to step beyond the emotional safety of her fortress? Just as they were about to leave, David nervously shifted his weight. "Samantha, can I ask you something?" He hesitated, words hanging heavy in the air. "Are you willing to meet my kids?" A rush of excitement and fear surged through her veins. Meeting them was significant. It was a leap into uncharted waters. But at that moment, she realized she wanted to embrace this uncertainty with him. "Absolutely," she answered, her voice steady despite the storm of emotions swirling within. A flicker of hope ignited in David's eyes. They stood at the precipice of something greater, and a dawning understanding filled the space between them. But as she walked away that night, a new question loomed large: would that connection withstand the trials of their realities? As she drove home, thoughts raced through her mind. Was she ready to embrace not just David but also his children? Would they allow her into their lives? The answers remained elusive, weaving a tapestry of hope and trepidation for what lay ahead. Would this blind date turn into a journey of love or heartbreak? The road stretched ahead, and Samantha knew she was on the brink of yet another turning point, one that could change everything. Samantha woke up to a soft light filtering through her bedroom. Her heart raced as she remembered the promise she'd made to David. Meeting his kids felt like a leap of faith, and she was both excited and anxious about it. The morning unfolded slowly, as she brewed a cup of coffee and paced anxiously around her apartment. She rummaged through her closet, searching for the perfect outfit. Something casual yet smart. Something that screamed, "I'm here for you." She settled on a simple blue dress that hugged her curves comfortably. It reflected her mood, hopeful yet steady. When she arrived at David's house, her knees felt weak. The quaint neighborhood was lined with bright flowers, children's laughter echoing in the distance. Each sound tugged at her heartstrings. This was family life, something she had always advised her clients to strive for but never had herself. David stepped outside just as she parked. He looked casual yet effortlessly charming in jeans and a fitted shirt. Seeing him took the edge off her nerves, replaced by a flurry of excitement. "Hey! You made it!" He greeted her, his eyes warm and inviting. "Of course," she replied, her smile genuine. He motioned for her to follow him, leading her into the house. The air was rich with the aroma of pancakes. "They're just finishing breakfast. You might get caught in their chaos," he joked. Panic crept back in. Was she really ready to face the unknown? Before she could second-guess herself, David opened the kitchen door. The sight was heartwarming. 2 kids, a girl and a boy, sat at the table giggling, their tiny faces smeared with syrup. "Hey, guys! Look who's here!" David announced, gesturing her in with a bright smile. The children turned to her, their faces lighting up with curiosity. "Hi!" the little girl chirped, waving a sticky hand. Samantha knelt down, her heart swelling. "Hi there. I'm Samantha," she said, pretending she wasn't intimidated by the intensity of their gaze. "I'm Lily, and this is my brother, Max." Lily replied, her excitement infectious. "Nice to meet you both," Samantha said, her nervousness fading as they began to chatter away. David melted into the background, watching them engage with an almost paternal pride, and Samantha felt a warmth spread in her chest. They talked about everything: their favorite cartoons, the adventures they wanted to go on, and whether pancakes of different shapes tasted better. Each moment embedded itself into Samantha's heart, and with each laugh, the walls around her began to crumble. As breakfast wrapped up, David proposed an idea: how about we head to the park? We can take a stroll, and the kids can play. It felt like a dream, just the 5 of them, a patchwork family, walking through the bright green grass. The park was alive, laughter and joy swirling through the air. Samantha watched as David guided Max on how to ride his bike, focusing on the little moments of parenting that sometimes seemed so overwhelming. Lily swung high, her giggles soaring with her movement, pulling Samantha into her joyous bubble. In that moment, Samantha found herself soaring too, feeling the lightness of connection and laughter. But soon, an undercurrent of reality surged beneath her joy. She glanced at David, whose smile faded slightly when the kids raced off. "Are you okay?" she asked softly, wanting to break through the surface of his cheerful facade. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I wish their mom could see this. She would have loved it." The vulnerability in his voice echoed in her heart. Here was a man, a single dad, bravely walking the tightrope of loss and the responsibility of keeping his children's spirits high. In that moment, she knew she couldn't just be a momentary joy in their lives. "Can we talk?" Samantha said gently, leading him a few steps away from the children. As they stood just out of earshot, David's gaze met hers, a mixture of apprehension and hope dancing in the air. "What is it?" he asked, concern etched on his face. Samantha took a deep breath, channeling the emotions she had still yet to fully understand. "I want to be here for you and your kids," she breathed, "but I need you to know I'm in this without any doubts." David's expression shifted, his surprise a mix of hopefulness and fear. "What do you mean by that?" Before she could respond, Lily came dashing over with wide eyes. "Can you come push me on the swing?" she asked, her excitement bubbling over. Samantha shot a look at David, a spark igniting between them, and he nodded. "Go ahead." He smiled, pride reflected on his face as they followed Lily. Just as she reached the swing, laughter echoing around her, Samantha felt a thrill of realization settle deep within. This was just the beginning, but the path ahead would be filled with both joy and challenges. As the sun began to set, casting golden hues across the park, Samantha knew her life was shifting in ways she couldn't predict. Could she truly step into this role, into this life intertwined with David S.? Would the family they created together withstand the tests of time? With her heart hammering in her chest, she pushed Lily higher, embracing the uncertainty, ready for whatever was next. Samantha pushed the swing, and Lily squealed with delight, her laughter mingling with the warm glow of the setting sun. For the first time that day, Samantha felt a sense of ease wash over her. The park was alive, and the connection between them felt genuine. Out of the corner of her eye, she caught David watching, the corners of his mouth twitched up in a proud smile. It was a simple moment, yet it felt monumental. Did he sense the shift in their dynamic too? Was that spark between them growing like the light framing the world around them? After a few rounds of excitement on the swing, Lily jumped off, declaring, "I want to go on the slides." Her uncontainable energy was infectious. Max, who had been balancing on his bike, nodded vigorously. "Come on, Samantha. Let us race," he shouted, hopping off his bike. His enthusiasm was irresistible as he dashed towards the slide. Samantha felt her heart flutter. Here she was, supported not just by David but by his children too. It felt surreal. As she followed behind Lily and Max, she caught David's eyes again. He was shifting back and forth, contemplating joining the fun. "Hey, you should come too," shouted Samantha, encouraging him. The moment hung in the air, a gentle invitation that somehow felt charged. Maybe he was still processing, worried about stepping into this new territory with her while holding on to memories of his past. David hesitated for a moment, but then a playful smile danced across his face. He jogged toward them, his carefree spirit lighting up the surroundings. "You think you can beat me?" he teased, squaring his shoulders as if preparing for a competition. Lily and Max cheered him on, and Samantha stayed silent, a warm giggle bubbling in her chest. It felt good to witness this side of him so light-hearted, so connected. Slowly, they all climbed up to the slide, laughter ringing out as they challenged each other. After several thrilling races up and down the slides, they finally settled on the grass, watching as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. Max flopped back into the grass, panting slightly. "This was the best day ever," he exclaimed, and Lily nodded in agreement, her sticky hands still clutching remnants of pancake breakfast. Samantha couldn't help but smile at their joy. "I'm glad I could be part of it," she said, stretching out her arms behind her to cradle the warmth of the moment. She turned to David, hoping for a glimpse of inspiration for what was to come. "It's not every day you get a fun new friend," he said, a soft look of admiration in his eyes. "You're amazing, Samantha. The kids really love you." Her chest tightened at his words, the sincerity echoing like a sweet melody. Could they truly become a family, or was it all just a fleeting fantasy? Just then, a shadow crossed David's face as he turned away. Samantha couldn't ignore the weight in his expression, so familiar yet distant. "Hey, what's wrong?" The playful moment felt fragile, as if it could shatter with the wrong words. He sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "I guess I'm just scared," he admitted, lifting his gaze to meet hers. "What if things don't work out? What if I mess this up for the kids?" Her heartache grew heavier. "You won. You're a good dad, David. They need you to be strong." She took a step closer, her voice low. "And they need someone like me. But we have to do it together." David leaned back slightly but didn't break eye contact, contemplating her words. She could see the flicker of hope in him, battling with an undeniable fear of vulnerability. "Let us just take it one day at a time," he finally said, the tension easing a fraction. As they sat side by side, Samantha let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. The path ahead wasn't just about forming a bond, it was stepping into the open heart of a person who had weathered so much grief. But just as the sun disappeared entirely, a sudden crackle of thunder rolled across the sky. Dark clouds gathered swiftly, the air shifting dramatically. Samantha scrambled to her feet. "Looks like we're going to get soaked. Let us head back." David chuckled softly but stood up too, the worry in his face momentarily replaced by the urgency of the moment. They gathered the kids and began making their way back, darting between playful splashes of puddles. In the chaos, Lily squealed as a raindrop hit her nose. "Race, you guys!" she yelled, and they all took off running, laughter mingling with the growing roar of thunder. As they reached the car, breathing heavily and laughing, Samantha couldn't shake how connected she felt with them. They were in it together now, battling the unpredictability of Mother Nature along with life's uncertainties. But as the droplets began to fall steadily, she caught a glimpse of David again. His worry had returned, shadowing his features, pulling at her heartstrings. Could they really weather the storms ahead? As the rain fell harder, a question lingered in the air: would this leap of faith they had taken today lead to a life transformed or a heart in pain? With their laughter echoing in her ears, and the rain washing over them, Samantha squeezed the kids' hands tight, her mind racing with possibilities. As they hustled to the car, the downpour became a symphony of pitter-pats on the roof, creating a cozy cocoon around them. Samantha shot a quick glance at David, who had turned to shield Lily from an unexpected gust of wind. The way he instinctively protected her made Samantha's heart flutter. It was all there, the connection, the promise of something deeper. "Everyone in!" David called out, ushering the kids into the back seat while he wrestled with the door of the front. It was a chaotic blend of giggles and shouts as the kids squirmed like excited puppies. Samantha climbed in next to David, her body tingling with the closeness. As the car roared to life, the freckles of rain danced against the windshield, creating patterns that seemed to mimic the storm brewing inside her. David glanced her way, his expression tentative but softer. "Thanks for today. You really made it special." Samantha felt warmth spread across her cheeks at his words. "I loved it. It felt great to just be free." "Yeah, it was nice, like a breath of fresh air," he replied, eyes fixed forward, but she could see his tension easing. "We should do this more often." "Definitely," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. The thrill of possibility filled the tiny space between them. Yet something nagged at Samantha, an unsettling thought. Was this merely a fleeting escape for him, a distraction from his past? "David," she ventured carefully, "I know things are still new. But I don't want to rush anything. Just so you know, I get it. We can take it slow." He turned to her, surprise flickering in his deep brown eyes. "I appreciate that, really. I just—" His words trailed off like the rain drizzling outside, leaving an unformed thought hanging in the air. "Just what?" She pushed gently, daring him to share the weight he carried. "Sometimes, the past feels too close. There are moments when I second-guess everything," he confessed, barely above a whisper. His voice broke the bubble of light-heartedness that had enveloped them. "I get that," she said softly, laying a hand over his on the gear shift. "But you're not alone. I'm here, and I want to be part of it, whatever it looks like." David's gaze drifted from the road to their joined hands, a moment imbued with so much unsaid possibility. Slowly, he turned his hand over, intertwining their fingers. In that simple connection, a spark ignited. Samantha felt a rush of hope, coupled with a thrill that bloomed anew. Maybe they could navigate this together after all. Suddenly, Max's voice broke through their moment. "Are we going to the diner? I'm starving." Samantha chuckled, and Lily joined in with her sweet little giggles, filling the car with happiness once more. David's shoulders relaxed as he responded, "Yes, food is definitely on the agenda." As the rain tapped on the metal skin of the vehicle, a newfound excitement settled. They were moving forward together, each moment a step in a path neither of them fully understood yet. But just as relief washed over Samantha, a sudden squeal of tires echoed from behind them. She turned around, heart racing, and caught a glimpse of a car hydroplaning. "David, watch out!" she shouted, panic surging through her. Their laughter faded, replaced by a sharp focus on the moment at hand. Samantha gripped the sides of her seat, holding her breath, while David's face shifted from calm to alarmed in an instant. The next few seconds felt like eternity as the world outside spun dangerously. Could they truly weather this storm, or were they racing toward disaster, just as life had done to David before? Samantha's heart collided with uncertainty. What would happen if they didn't make it to safety? Would she be left with unanswered questions, a heart still longing for connection? As the car careened, her fingers tightened around David's, a silent vow of trust in the face of the unknown. What would they find on the other side of this chaos? Samantha felt the jolt of the car as David swerved, muscles tensing and adrenaline pumping through her veins. The world blurred past like a chaotic film reel as her grip on David's hand tightened. She could see his jaw clench, every fiber of him focused on steering them to safety. The tires skidded violently, and for a heart-stopping moment, the car seemed to float. Time stretched, and Samantha's breath came in quick bursts. It was like standing on the edge of the thrill and the abyss. She could hear the kids' laughter fading, replaced with the sharp sound of the screeching wheels echoing around them. "Hang on!" David shouted, his voice a mixture of command and reassurance. All at once, the car lurched back onto a solid path. David regained control, and the wild spinning stopped. They slid to a stop, a few inches away from a roadside barrier. It took a moment for the sounds of the storm and children to return, punctuating the tense silence that had settled inside the car. The overwhelming sound of rainfall reluctantly transformed into a gentle rhythm again. Samantha stared at David, raw relief flooding through her. "Are you okay?" she asked, her voice trembling with the adrenaline rush. He let out a shaky laugh, a release of tension mixed with disbelief. "I think so. Just another day, right?" His attempt at humor fell flat, but the ghost of a smile flickered on his lips. Max and Lily both burst into giggles, oblivious to the gravity of what just happened. "We didn't crash. That was awesome," Max exclaimed, while Lily beamed at her father, admiration shining from her eyes. Samantha turned, drinking in their innocent joy. The kids were the light in what felt like a dimming moment. But her mind remained on David, the man who had kept them all safe. He seemed different now, rawer, like the rain washing away more than just the dirt from their day. "David," she began, wanting to bridge the chasm of tension, but the words felt stuck in her throat. Instead, they sat there, fingers intertwined, gripped like lifelines against a storm, both outside and inside. "We should really go," he finally said, breaking the silence. "The diner is just a few minutes away. You ready?" "Yeah." Her voice was steadier as she nodded, but inside, a whirlwind of emotions brewed. She was scared, grateful, and strangely more connected than before. They entered the diner, and warmth enveloped them, contrasting the cold downpour outside. The cheerful clamor of patrons provided a soundtrack as they settled into their booth. Samantha watched David as he interacted with the waitress, his usual playful charm illuminating the darkness of moments before. "Good choice," she said, her heart swelling. Maybe they hadn't just weathered a storm, maybe they had also crossed a threshold. As they shared orders and playful banter, Lily leaned over, her bright eyes sparkling with mischief. "Daddy, are you going to ask Miss Samantha to be our friend for real?" David choked slightly on his soda, embarrassment washing over him, but there was a hint of laughter in his eyes. "Well, that's up to Miss Samantha, isn't it?" Samantha couldn't help but smile. This was their moment, his children wanting her in their lives. Her heart raced, but she felt a calmness settle within the chaos of earlier. "I'd love to be your friends," she managed, glancing at David, and feeling the warmth of their shared experience. But amidst the laughter, in the whirlwind of pizza orders and melting ice cream sundaes, a thought crept in: what would happen when they left the diner? Would their newfound bond weather more storms ahead, or would the past linger like the scent of rain on asphalt? As they finished their meal, a sound shattered the comfort, the unmistakable sound of a phone ringing. David's expression turned serious as he glanced at his phone, the screen illuminated with a name that sent a chill through the air. Just as Samantha thought they might step further into something real, the past knocked at their door again. What awaited him on the other end of that call? David's fingers hesitated over the screen, a silent battle playing out in his eyes. Samantha felt a knot form in her stomach. She had seen that look before, a mix of dread and obligation. It was the expression of someone caught between the present and the weight of personal history. "David?" she prompted softly, her voice barely above a whisper. He glanced up at her, and for a split second, she saw vulnerability flash across his features. It's my ex," he admitted, the words feeling heavy, like stones dropped into their moment of magic. "Do you need to take it?" He opened his mouth to reply but then shook his head. "No. But this could be important." The tension snapped between them like a taut wire, each heartbeat echoing the uncertainty of what this call might mean for them. The phone buzzed again, persistent and demanding. David stared at the screen, and Samantha felt a chill wrap its cold fingers around her heart. She had tasted the sweetness of a connection just moments before, and now it felt like an anchor dragging them back into uncharted waters. The kids were still laughing, blissfully unaware, but Samantha couldn't shake the feeling that a term of their future hung in the balance. "Maybe it's just a quick thing," she suggested, trying to keep her voice light. "You can always call them back." But he was already sliding his finger across the screen. "I should answer." The words were taut with reluctance. He lifted the phone to his ear, shifting slightly in his seat, the jovial diner fading around him. Samantha could see the tension mounting across his shoulders. "Hello." His voice cracked just a bit, the weight of emotions threading through. Samantha leaned back, sipping her soda, trying to mask the tumult swirling inside her. "David." The voice broke through the line. Clean, sharp, unmistakably familiar. "You've been avoiding me." "Rachel," he began, his brows furrowing. Samantha's heart sank. She wanted to peel layers of his past away, but some things were just too intertwined to untangle. She caught Lily's gaze, and the little girl offered her an innocent smile, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing on the other side of that call. David frowned, his brows knitted in concentration. "I can't talk right now. I'm with the kids." Samantha felt an urge to comfort him, to reach across the booth and grip his hand, but the bond they had begun to build felt fragile against this specter from his past. "How long are you going to hold on to this?" Rachel's voice crackled through the speaker. The sharp edges made an ugly sound that cut into the warm atmosphere. "You can't just pretend it didn't happen." David's eyes flicked toward Samantha, whose heart raced at the raw emotion reflected in them. She ached for him, longing to reach in and ease his burden. "I need to go," David said finally, voice steadier, but Samantha recognized the lingering doubt. "This isn't about us, Rachel." As he spoke, Samantha held her breath, hoping he knew what he was doing. Hope and dread twisted together, filling the air with tension. Lily tapped her fingers on the table. "Daddy? What's wrong?" David exhaled slowly, turning back to them as if awaking from a distant place. "Nothing, honey. Just a little grown-up stuff." Samantha offered him a reassuring smile, but the weight of his call felt like a barrier erecting between them. When David hung up, silence engulfed them like a heavy fog. He looked at Samantha, a myriad of emotions swirling in his eyes: confusion, regret, perhaps a hint of frustration. With nervous energy, Max shouted, "Can we get ice cream now?" But the cheerfulness brought by the kids didn't fully penetrate the mood. "Sure, buddy," David answered, but his gaze lingered on Samantha, searching for an anchor. As they moved towards the ice cream counter, Samantha couldn't shake the feeling that David was battling ghosts that could very well return. Her chest tightened at the thought of what lay ahead. But deep down, a flicker of hope ignited. Maybe they could confront those ghosts together. Maybe storms could be weathered hand in hand. "Do you think they'll ever really go away?" she whispered, almost to herself, wrestling with the uncertainty. David stopped, their eyes locking. I don't know, he started, the question dangling in the air like the last raindrop clinging to a branch. But just as Samantha opened her mouth to respond, another call buzzed on David's phone. Not now, he groaned, but dread settled deep in Samantha's stomach as she recognized the name lighting up his screen. Who was reaching out this time, and would it change everything they had just begun to build? David grimaced, staring at the name flashing on the screen. The world faded as he felt his heartbeat thunder in his ears. Please, not now, he murmured under his breath. The call was from his mother. Glimmers of childhood memories washed over him: home videos, family dinners where laughter mingled with stories of love lost and lessons learned. But now, a cloak of hesitation draped his shoulders, heavier than ever before. Would she press him about his failure to reconcile with Rachel? Would she ask about his relationship with Samantha? He wasn't ready for a discussion on either. David? Samantha's voice broke through the fog of his thoughts. Her concern was palpable, and he felt it digging deep within him like a splinter. What do you want to do? He took a breath, eyes flitting between the children and Samantha. The laughter of the kids rang sweet and innocent, a reminder of what was at stake. He needed to make a choice that wouldn't just echo the past but forge a future instead. Give me a minute, he said, pressing the green button, holding the phone up to his ear. David? The warmth of his mother's voice filled the line. I hope to hear from you. We've been worried. He inhaled sharply, looking toward Samantha. The light in her eyes dimmed as she braced for another heavy conversation. He grimaced internally. She didn't deserve this. Mom, I can't talk right now. I'm with the kids. Of course. But David, we need to address things, especially with your father's birthday coming up. I thought maybe Mom, he interrupted, striving to keep his tone calm. I really can't right now. His voice wavered slightly. I'll call you later. Promise. All right, she responded, a hint of disappointment brimming through. But please do. We can't just ignore. His thumb hit the red button, and the call ended. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Samantha asked gently, her eyebrows slightly arched, her face a mirror of his inner turmoil. David drew a shaky breath. I don't know. It just feels like everything is colliding. I'm trying to build something real here, but what? She pressed, taking a small step closer. They are all pulling me back. I feel guilty for trying to move on. The weight of it all crept back in, threatening to drag him under once more. Samantha's eyes softened. You're allowed to want something. You deserve it, and so do the kids. He searched her gaze, warmth blooming at her earnest words. If only it was that simple. Can we just enjoy this? He replied finally, forcing a smile. Ice cream. Sounds good, right? Max jumped in at the mention of ice cream, visibly excited. Daddy, look. They have my favorite. Let us do it, Samantha said, a small grin breaking over her face. The fleeting shadows of doubt receded a bit, replaced by a spark of joy. As they approached the counter, David felt the atmosphere lighten. Their laughter intertwined, echoing through the air, wrapping around them like a warm blanket. But just as they reached for their treats, David's phone buzzed again. He glanced down, and his heart dropped. Rachel's name was back, stubborn and unyielding. Do you want me to get that? Samantha asked, sensing the ripple of despair washing over him. No, he shook his head, clenching his jaw. I can't. But the weight of the decision loomed. Samantha smiled as she ordered, but there it was, the nagging thought breaking through every moment of fun they shared. David clenched his fists as the moment hung in the air. Could he truly carve out a space for happiness amidst the chaos? Or would Rachel always be a shadow lingering just out of reach? As they turned to walk back, his phone buzzed once more, a reminder that unanswered questions continued to ripple beneath the surface of his heart. Would this call forever alter his fragile reality? David felt the cold sweat beginning to bead on his brow as the ice cream orders were placed. Samantha's laughter danced around him, but inside, turmoil brewed. The sweetness of the moment gave way to an ache that settled deep in his chest. He wanted to embrace the present, yet the past kept pulling him back, like a puppet on invisible strings. "Hey, I'll take this to the table," Samantha said, balancing the colorful cups in her hands, glancing at him with a playful smile. "Don't worry, I'll keep Max entertained." "Okay, I'll be right there," he replied, forcing a smile back at her. As she walked off, David pulled out his phone once more, staring at Rachel's name. Did she have anything new to say? Would it change how he felt? He felt paralyzed by the decision before him. He thought back to the last time they spoke. It hadn't ended well. "David." He turned to see Max jumping up and down at the table, ice cream dribbling down his chin. "Look, Daddy. Look what I got." The sight tugged at his heart, reminding him of his role, his purpose. Here was Max, in all his innocence, excited and happy. Yet that fleeting moment didn't bring the comfort he craved. Beneath the surface, a storm raged. "Samantha," he called, knowing she was nearby. She turned, her hair caught the sunlight, making her look even more radiant. "Can we talk for a second?" "Sure." She approached him, wiping her hands on her jeans. "What's on your mind?" David sighed, collecting his thoughts. "It's just Rachel. I can't stop thinking about her. It feels like every time I try to have a moment with you and the kids, she's there, lurking," he admitted, vulnerability thick in his voice. Samantha nodded, her expression serious. "You know you don't have to carry that alone, right? You can talk about her, you don't have to hide it from me." "I don't want to hurt you," he said, guilt weighing heavily. "But every call, every message, it feels like I'm stuck in two worlds." "I understand," she replied softly. "But you can acknowledge your feelings without letting them choke out what's blooming here. You're allowed to miss her, but that doesn't mean you can't want something new." Her words hung in the air, a gentle reminder that navigating through pain didn't require surrendering to it. David felt a flicker of hope spark within him. He just needed to lean into that instead of letting the past dictate his future. "I don't want to drag you into my mess," he whispered, looking deeply into her eyes. "But I want to be here," Samantha urged, reaching out to cup his cheek gently. "Let me help. We can figure this out together." Taking a breath, he felt lighter somehow. "It's just so complicated." "Because life is messy," she said with a small smile. "But that's what makes it beautiful. You can still make choices. You can set boundaries with her while honoring your feelings." She was right, he had a choice. He could acknowledge the complexity of his situation without being defined by it. It was a realization that sent warmth trickling through him. As they returned to the table, Samantha squeezed his hand briefly, filling him with a feeling of camaraderie. Max was still animated, showing off his ice cream creations, and David found comfort in the laughter that surrounded him. But just as he leaned into the moment, the phone buzzed again. He glanced down at an alert that made his stomach drop, a message from Rachel, a request to meet, to talk. "David?" Samantha's voice pulled him from his spiraling thoughts. "You okay?" He had a choice to make. Should he open the door to the past, or should he step forward into the uncertainty of the future? As he weighed his options, a nagging question tugged at him. If he answered, would it spell the end of what he and Samantha were starting to build? David stood at the crossroads, his phone buzzing incessantly. The weight of Rachel's message felt like a heavy anchor dragging him down, yet around him flowed the warmth of laughter and ice cream, the innocence of his children blissfully unaware of the storm at hand. Samantha's eyes searched his, filled with an understanding that soothed his chaotic mind. "What is going on, David?" she asked, her voice steady and soft. She could see the tension written all over his face, and it only deepened the connection that was forming between them. This was a pivotal moment, the kind that could change everything. He took a deep breath, his heart thumping against his chest. It's Rachel. She wants to meet. She thinks we need to talk things through. The admission felt like a confession, harsh and unforgiving in the sweet atmosphere of the diner. Is that what you want? To talk to her? Samantha asked, a hint of softness in her tone but also a firmness that he respected. It was the kind of honesty that mirrored his own inner struggle. He mulled over the question, his grip tightening on the phone. Part of me wants to close that chapter for good, David said, his voice laced with frustration. But I also don't want to leave any loose ends for the kids. I can't just cut her out. Samantha nodded, her thoughts racing alongside his. You've been carrying this for a while now. But it doesn't have to mean you dive back in like you're a student who has just flunked their finals. Her playful tone broke through the heaviness. He chuckled lightly, appreciating the way she could lighten the load with her empathy. Maybe just a casual trip to the ice cream emergency room instead? Exactly. She laughed, and the sound lifted his spirits momentarily. But then, reality crept back in. He glanced at the kids, they were happily demolishing their ice cream, lost in their little world. Samantha's gaze followed his, but then returned sharply to him. David, listen to me. Whatever you choose, I'm here. But the path forward needs to be clear for you. You don't have to answer that call today, or any day. Fear gripped his heart as he weighed his options, a dam of emotions threatening to burst. But what if I don't? What if waiting makes the situation worse for the kids? They don't deserve the shadows of my past. Life's messy, remember? She offered gently. Perhaps part of that mess is giving yourself the permission to step back, even for a moment, and prioritize what today shows you. The kids need stability, and so do you. You deserve to rebuild that security without echoes of your past. Her insight washed over him like a gentle tide, pulling back the tumultuous waves of worry crashing inside. She was right. He didn't have to be defined by yesterday's mistakes. The past could inform who he was, but it didn't have to dictate who he would become. Slowly, he lifted his phone to meet her gaze. You're right. I can't let her shadow our future. I need to choose this moment, choose us. The words felt like light breaking through a veil of fog, illuminating his own realization. He sent a quick message back, a firm response: not today, maybe not ever. It was time for boundaries, to take control of his own narrative. It was time to step into the life he desperately wanted to create. As David placed the phone down, a sigh of relief washed over him. He felt lighter, freer. Samantha smiled warmly, their hands brushing again, a reaffirmation of support. Now, let us make some more memories, she said, lighting up like the sun breaking through storm clouds. More ice cream? He asked playfully, relishing the weight lifted from his shoulders. Absolutely. She leaned over, her hand resting gently on his arm, sending a soft spark through him. Let us be silly. Let us find a little joy in the chaos. Lily and Max cheered as David returned to the table, their laughter filling the air like music. The diner became a sanctuary, a happy refuge filled with giggles and bright eyes. The ice cream melted but the sweetness lingered. In those moments, amidst the clinking of silverware and the laughter of children, David felt hope blossom anew. It was tangible, almost electric, weaving their fates together in ways he hadn't foreseen. He turned his gaze toward Samantha's soft smile, knowing this was just the beginning. Suddenly, Lily tugged on his shirt. Daddy, can we play a game later? Samantha can join too. Her innocent request surged like a buoy into his heart, scattering any remaining doubt. Definitely. David replied, feeling warmth expand in his chest. We can play a whole bunch of games. Together. As they indulged in ice cream and laughter, David realized allowing himself to be vulnerable didn't mean risking it all. It meant choosing love, nurturing connection, and embracing the lightness of life amid uncertainty. With Samantha at his side and his children's laughter ringing in his ears, he knew they could face whatever storms lay ahead. Together, they could create joy in the mess, forge a path brightened with connection, and build a true family. As they prepared to leave, David felt a rush of emotions swirl, excitement and peace blending together into something beautiful. They stepped back out into the world, ready to face it all. Was it going to be easy? Probably not. But as they climbed into the family car hand in hand, he realized one thing was for sure: the leap he took today could lead to endless joy. And with that, David embraced the winding road ahead. As he drove away, their laughter echoed behind them like a promise of love, of healing, and new beginnings. Feeling inspired by this journey? You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support makes a difference. Let me know how you feel about this ending in the comments below. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. It's time to spread the love.